Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Jumpgate podcast. I am your cut-off host, Jesse Gender, and I'm joined as always by...
Oh dear, what did you cut off now?
No,
I know what surgeries you had.
Everyone knows, Vera. Literally everybody. No, you cut off the beginning. I listened to our podcast, and it starts with, I hope you leave that in, but you didn't leave in what came before it, and I don't remember what it was, so I'm just angry about it.
It wasn't that interesting. I honestly made the decision. I think it's funnier just having us bring it there because what it actually, because I usually do. When we lead in with weirdness, I usually leave it in, but honestly, it wasn't interesting and it wasn't funny, and this was funnier.
Well,
you never listen to the podcast. What the hell?
I listen to it. I catch the first few seconds of it because I have to
Oh, you listen to your own intro.
I listen, well,
I see
because
how it is.
mostly it's just because I have to hit play. I have to go in to see the comments, and it'll play the first 2 or 3 seconds. So I'll catch the first.
Before you can pause it and be like, I need to stop it before that bitch starts talking.
Yeah. Pretty much. Why would I? Why would I spend extra time listening to you?
I get where I stand.
Yeah, you should. You should know better. How are you, Vera?
I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're through the gauntlet of reviews.
Yes. Yeah, although I need to, at time of recording, I still need to finish editing my review of the Doctor Who finale, and then I need to come up with an overview and ranking for the season, although it might just become an overview for the era. Now I got to figure out what I want to do with that. I can't think. I'm too burnt out.
Fair enough. I'm in a weird middle phase because I'm about to finish up my Andor video, which will hopefully be up by the time people hear this. And then at the end of the month, I'm flying out to do film my episode of Subliminal, the show for Nebula. And in between then, I got a little bit of business to do, but not a ton. So I'm I'm just gonna rest a little bit. It would have been taken up by having to figure out the book stuff. But since that's on pause while my literary agent finds a publisher for it, I get a little bit of a break, which is kind of nice. So,
good luck.
I probably will be a workaholic and fill it with something or other. So
I was gonna say
knowing me.
Yeah, sure, you're gonna relax.
At least I try. It never happens, but I try.
I don't even really try anymore. I gave up.
I need to do more.
Because I would get annoyed at myself for failing to relax. I'm I'm just going to stop trying because I'm not going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'll get annoyed for you. Well, we could talk about walking through a valley. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know.
You really don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
holy cow.
That was a terrible one. I wasn't prepared. I'm disappointed in myself. We're talking about the episode Valley of Darkness this week of Battlestar Galactica. So
that is a Babylon 5 ass title.
Yeah, really it was as Valley of Dark. Yeah, it is a very Babylon 5 ass title. I'm trying to think of other ones from Babylon 5 that are like that, the walking through darkness, or in the garden of evil monsters. My hands fall with light.
I like Babylon 5 a lot. It had a lot of titles like that.
Yeah, very pretentious ones. It reminds me, there's a game I could play. Actually, I'm gonna play this real quick with you because it's too funny not to.
Oh dear.
I think I might have made this on the other podcast, but I'm gonna reiterate it here because it's too funny since we're bringing it up here. We're gonna play a game. Is it a title of Jessie's old Star Trek fanfic from when she was in high school, or is it a Babylon 5 title?
I think we have played this before.
So I'm gonna give you 3 titles. They're either they're either titles of episodes of my old Star Trek fanfic I wrote in high school, or they're a Babylon 5 episode. So we'll start. There all the honor lies.
I think that one's you.
Nope, that's a Babylon 5 title.
That is? Damn!
Hiding in the dark.
That one's you.
That is also that is indeed me.
Yeah.
Where light once was.
I think that's you again.
That is me. So you got 2 for 3. But they all could have been Babylon 5 titles.
They easily could have been Babylon 5 titles.
Oh, well, anyways, that's fun. All right, let's look at some comments from the episode Coldball's Last Gleaming Part 2. So the season finale of of season 1, I should say. So we have the Omegale says, first words are, I hope you leave that in. Okay, Vera, you bitch. See, other people are feeling it too.
I like to toy with all of you. Mm-hmm. You may now say thank you.
You're welcome. Arsenal says, thanks, Adama. I learned it by watching you. OMG, I'm old enough to remember that commercial as a commercial and not just a meme. Oh, FFS, for fuck's sake, I'm going to be 50 in November. Ugh. Anyways, I have the same annoyances as you both because I don't like chosen children or adults. I don't like coincidences. I don't like plot conveniences. I will say Adama getting shot is the second most shocking scene for this series for me from what I remember. I will say in Lee's defense, if I play devil's advocate, maybe he hopes his dad comes to his senses because this is so obviously wrong that he hopes he'll change his mind and only pulls the gun when it reaches the last point where this is actually happening. He has to stop it. So like
it's not played that way.
No, it's definitely not, but it's at least a way to read it that is consistent.
That would be better. That's good headcanon. It doesn't hold up to the actual episode whatsoever. Also, like, I'm in a weird middle zone because, like, I'm actually not old enough to have remembered the actual airing of that. From you, Dad, I learned it by watching you. I didn't actually see that air, but I did learn about it before it was, like, a proper meme because I like, somebody knew in high school had referenced it. I was like, what the hell is that? And they, like, dug this thing up on, like, YouTube wasn't even a thing yet. Like, on some weird video site of random BS. They dug it up and showed it to me. So, like, I'm old enough to have been aware of it before memes were a thing.
I don't think I've ever seen the commercial. I'm aware of it just because Thanks Obama was a thing when I was growing up in high school. Which, So I know, like, where it's from. I don't think I've ever seen it, though. So.
Well, the Thanks Obama is a completely separate thing from because, like,
I know, it's in high school that I thought this was a universal thing. There was a thing where that was the response sometimes, where it was. It was a weird thing. Maybe it was just my high school. I don't know.
That I think you were just weird. No, it was an old drug PSA. Where, like, some dad finds drug paraphernalia.
Yeah, I'm aware.
In his kid's room.
I know the vibe. I don't think I've ever seen it though. The commercial that still gets me, and I think I've mentioned this before, but the commercial that always, like, traumatized me as a child was the Got Milk commercial. Did I ever tell you this?
Which one? They were all weird.
The one that's, like, honestly traumatized me as a child was there was 2 kids. They were, like, I think they were brothers or whatever. They're in their suburban house. The mom's just like, drink your milk, kids. It's like, no, we don't need to drink milk. Old man McGregor never drinks milk. They look out the window and there's, like, an old man, like, next door, like mowing the lawn, and they go to, like, wave at him, and he goes to wave back at them to say, hi, kids. His arms rip out of their sockets. Stay on the lawnmower, and he starts screaming. The kids start screaming, and they start chugging milk. And then it says, got milk, and it cuts back to just the lawnmower with 2 arms sticking out of it, with the bones you can see still sticking out of it, mowing through the lawn.
I missed that one. Like, I remember, I have a feeling that, given your age, I have a feeling that must have been, like, an attempt to revive the Got Milk ad campaign, because when it started, like, I remember seeing them, like, the 2 that I mostly remember is I remember the Aaron Burr one. God, we're really just gonna explain got milk ads. Okay, just owning it. So like this guy is sitting down, he's listening to the radio and he's eating a peanut butter sandwich. And on the radio is like, and now our $1 million question for one lucky viewer: who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel? And the guy like freezes mid-bite, and like there's all this stuff in his room that's all related to that duel, and it's got like the bullet in a glass case. And then his phone rings, he picks it up. Hello? Yes, for $1 million. Because he's got all this peanut butter in his mouth. Excuse me? And he goes, hold on, let me get some milk. And he goes to try and pour the milk, but there's no milk, so he can't cleanse his palate. He just goes, I'm sorry, your time is up. And the radio person hangs up, and he's just there in this dark room. And he goes, So I remember that one, and I remember one where there was some like classic 80s style jackass businessman who steps off the curb and gets flattened by a truck. And then he's suddenly in like this white void with angelic music. And it's like, welcome to eternity. And he looks around and, it's just very clean, nice stuff. And he gets this big ass cookie, he goes, bites into it. Oh, heaven. And he opens up the fridge and it's all these milk cartons. He's like, oh yeah, he goes to pick one up and it's empty. All the milk cartons are empty. And then it's the got milk thing, but it's burning.
That's clever. That's the got milk ads were pretty clever. The thing that also got me was we had a giant got milk poster, like the mustache posters.
The magazine print ads where it was just celebrities with the mustache.
Yeah, we had one of that with Hayden Panettiere from Heroes, which was a problem for me because I had a big crush on her as a kid, so it was problematic. Like it was the reason I knew it was bisexual is because I had a thing for Hayden Panettiere and then a thing weirdly for Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. So I was like, all right, well. I'm definitely not straight. I don't know what I am, but I'm something. So,
can we just pause for a second and think about how weird it was that there were major ad campaigns, not for a specific brand, but like just for the concept of a product.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure.
Got milk. Beef. It's what's for dinner.
Yeah.
Pork. The other white meat. Like. Can we talk about how weird that is?
It was weird. I need to find it. I'm just going to speak up my ass a little bit here, and then we should actually talk about Babylon 5. Or not Babylon 5.
Oh, is that what we're here to do? Oh, shit.
There is a video someone did about those campaigns that apparently there's some sinister bullshit money nonsense behind it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's someone somewhere is making a shit ton of money and killing people, to make got milk ads. But they had a clever ad campaign. Give them that. So.
Yep.
Also, our Sentinel also said, Jesse, you held this show in higher regard than Babylon 5. Seriously, Babylon 5 makes this my top 10 shows of all time. Battlestar Galactica I never considered for this, but I guess that's a matter of personal preference. To be clear, I want to say I would still I hold Babylon 5 in high regard, having just finished it. This show I'm much more mixed on. This show was formative for me in a lot of ways. Especially given something I'll talk about in just a second, it was one of the shows that got me into learning a lot of behind the scenes and how to do film, because Ronald D. Moore would do these podcasts and he would talk about the making of every episode, the writing of every episode, and like that and Lost, and then as Star Trek as well. Though Star Trek wasn't an ongoing show, I learned a lot about Star Trek through like reading history books, but like present shows, both Lost and Battlestar Galactica were like the shows that got me into wanting to do film. So that it was very influential, and as a result, I held it in very high regard for a long time. That being said, I am older and hopefully wiser, or at least I have much stronger opinions on politics and things. So we'll see how that lands once this show finishes out. Once we get through it, but it was a very formative show for me, which is why I held it up so high. So, speaking of, I've missed a few because I did mention I was going to listen to the Ronald D. Moore podcasts. He didn't start them immediately with the show, which is why I forgot about him for a bit. He started them towards the end of season 1, so there's like 3 or 4 I missed, but I started re-listening to them here. So, and I'm going to try and listen to them before we do every episode, because he has some interesting tidbits and stuff. I forgot how young he sounded. He sounds like a fucking kid. compared to what he sounds like now.
Probably sounds like you sound to me.
Probably. But anyways, he talked about with this episode that we're about to watch, to actually get into it, Valley of Darkness, it was originally, most of this was part of episode 1. Then they split it up because they felt it was squeezing too much in. And what they added was the whole Cylon boarding party stuff. Like, that was all added in. Like, the Battlestar Galactica going and trying to find the fleet and everything, that was all going to be episode 1 regardless. But everything else, like everything on Kobol and on Caprica and a few other random little things, like the flashbacks with Adama, there was a couple longer ones that they were going to do. That was all going to be in, like, episode 1, but then they split it up and then added the boarding party storyline. So, found that interesting.
Well, yeah, because otherwise...
There's nothing else going on.
It's not an episode worth of stuff. Actually, you saying that explains a few things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because this... especially the action-y bits felt a bit filler-ish, if I'm being honest.
I didn't hate them, though. We'll get to them, but I
didn't hate them either, but, like... I think of, like, the better action scenes that this show has had so far, which has generally been the space stuff. And, like, that they meant more because, like, spoiler, the boarding parties just kind of dealt with in the course of this. There may or may not be lingering things. There's something that I'll mention at one point, but, like, for all intents and purposes, like, they were here and now they're gone. And it doesn't feel impactful the way the bigger action set pieces have up to this point. That's kind of what lent it to feeling like filler. It's like, we need an action beat. I guess this'll do.
Yeah, and that's basically what it ended up being. They even added another thing after. Well, we'll start off. Let's get into our recap, and I'll explain this bit here. But we start off the episode with Billy walking down the corridor and seeing Dee, and trying to start up a conversation with her. It's awkward because, you know, there's just been a little military coup since they last saw each other. And
just an easy one.
Yes.
What's a little coup between friends?
Exactly. You know, we've had, you and I have had a couple coups that we've survived in this country. Yeah. It's not even a joke.
Like, I put you in your place when you tried to overthrow me, and you know better now.
I'm still planning a coup. It's fine.
And I'll deal with you appropriately when you try.
Well, I'll appreciate it. Anyways.
I know you will. Good girl.
I hate you. Anyways. Yes. Billy tries to say, like, hey, I'm sorry I haven't made this a priority. What with the, you know, coup and everything. But Dee kind of snaps back at him. You know, saying like, oh, well, your president helped spark a mutiny on my ship, and, you know, were you just waiting for a shoulder to cry on when I needed a shoulder to cry on to reach out? And he rightly says that's a little uncalled for. So.
I mean, Dee.
Yeah.
I don't super love Dee as a character because, and I'm not saying this is her only thing, but she's regularly becoming the pig-headed straw man figure in things. Like, it happened in the episode that introduced Zarek as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that exactly when you said it.
Yeah, like, she just... and they don't feel like parts of a consistent character. It's just, well, we need somebody to be a little bit of a hard-headed douche about this. Hey, Dee!
Yeah. I think she's just kind of there to, like, showcase the military perspective in a lot of ways, often. Just sort of, like, generalized. That's kind of like she's sort of getting the general...
Yes, I think part of why that lands weirdly is because so much of her screen time is not her in the job. It's, like, her having moony eyes with this boy. Like, there are characters who we almost never see outside the military context. We see her outside the military context semi-regularly, which I think kind of makes her an odd fit to be the mouth for these things.
The point I was going to make was that we don't really see much of her own time doing her own stuff. She's either at work or she's having a romance with Billy. And so I don't really know who she is on her own. You know what I mean? Sans work or boyfriend. So
Jesse, she's a woman. Why would she have anything other than work and boyfriend. You're talking
Honestly,
crazy now. What is wrong with
why
you?
does she even have work? She just needs boyfriend. That's it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. She'll get married to Billy, and then she won't work anymore, as it should be.
Exactly. Oh,
Crepes.
God. One other thing to just note, it found interesting in the podcast. This will be the last one that I'll call out. Because everything else was just sort of like beat action stuff, which is it's interesting. But for this one, the Billy and Dee scene here and at the end of the episode where they kissed, which we'll talk about later, both of those were added even further after everything was done. So they like shot episode 1, shot episode 2 that they had split off into it. They'd made the episode and then like, oh, we should have a bookend for Billy and Dee stuff. And then this scene and the scene at the end where they kiss were added later. So fascinating.
Sorry, like my brain just did a thing that made me laugh, and now I have to explain it.
Yeah.
So, there's an Astif movie joke that's like these two people in a field, like, oh honey, it's just you, me, and the moon, and then it cuts to the moon, and the moon goes, hey, you two should kiss, and I'm picturing that and Ronald D. Moore as the moon in that situation.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you two should kiss. Yeah, that's very funny. Well, anyways, we then cut to the power going out as Ty's staring at Adama's body. So we are picking up pretty much moments after the end of last episode. And we get we see the Viper pilots also coming back from the events of last episode and kind of celebrating and kind of going through the halls.
Celebrating in the dark, which is weird. Like, power's down. None of you are
concerned. Yeah.
And I just wrote down, oh, hey, look, it's the red shirts.
Yep. Oh, yeah, very much so. The CIC, Gata says that the virus spawned copies in the computer systems and it's knocked out power in the aux units. But then, as the Viper pilot, back with the Viper pilots. Oh, and they also learned that they've been boarded, Gata says. But back with the Viper pilots, they're walking through the halls, bragging to each other, and run right into a Centurion and kill one of the poor red shirts. And yeah,
quite messily.
Yes, very, very much so. Yeah, they got blood all over them.
Yeah, there is a lot of blood in this episode.
Yeah, a lot.
Like, kind of to a degree that I'm surprised they got away with.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, it's funny, we cut to the opening credits basically here. I did double check. They are keeping a running tally of the people who died, and it did go down by 1. Actually, 2 from last episode. So this, I won't keep track of this all the time. I just think it's interesting. So they not only counted the guy who died last episode, the guy who got shot by the Cylons back on Cobalt.
The guy who got shot, and then got shot again, and then got
shot again.
For good
yes,
measure.
They counted him. But they also, I was curious to see if they did this or not. They do count people who die pre-title credits. So I was wondering, it's like, do they count the episode or does they count pre-title credits? So they do count the Viper pilot who died because they knocked down 2. So
that's a nice touch.
Yeah,
actually, that it's however many people died before the number comes up.
Yes, exactly. So if someone dies in the opening, if someone dies in the opening credits of an episode, then the number will go down between that and whatever the last one was. So yeah, it's cute. So
cool.
So yeah, I just wanted to check that because I found that to be fascinating. But yeah, Apollo, the Viper pilots run. They get saved by some Marines who show up and tell them that the only thing that works against the Centurions are explosive rounds, which they are currently all out of. So. Yeah.
Well, that particular party is.
Yes. Yeah. The ship still has more, but.
Yes, which I wasn't clear on initially, and it gets established later. No, there's more on the ship. It's just they are out for what they have on them.
Yes. But yeah, Gata tries to call to the rest of the fleet saying, hey, we're boarded by Cylons, so keep a safe distance, but that signal gets jammed.
Yep.
And then we cut to...
Attention fleet, we're boned.
Yeah,
do not try
away.
And dock until we're no longer boned.
And I have to imagine from the fleet, like, from their perspective, the Galactica just showed back up. So they were like, fuck, we're all fucked. The Galactica's not here anymore. Oh, God. And then it shows back up. Oh, yay, we're saved. Oh, no, we're boned again. God damn it. But anyways... And actually, the military coup happened just a short while before that, too. So it's been a big-ass day for them.
It's been a hell of a day.
Anyways, we then cut to the cell with the president and Billy there with the guard, who's clearly has an affinity for Rosalind. Not like a romantic affinity, but like prayed with her and all that jazz. Views her as a prophet. Anyways, the president yells at him to open the door because she doesn't want to be shot like a rat in a cage when she starts hearing the bullets. The door opens. They think it's going to be a Cylons, but it actually is Adama with his team. He gives Billy a gun.
Lee. I feel like you should clarify.
Yeah. I keep saying Lee. Lee's team.
Or Apollo.
Yes. Lee's team. He gives Billy a gun. The president doesn't want to take one. And they basically come up with the idea of like head towards sick bay because it's a disaster shelter and meant to be used like that. So you guys go there. We're heading towards the gunfire to get explosive rounds.
Yeah.
So
I did like that line from Apollo. It was like, look, just head away from the gunfire. What are you going to do? We're going to go towards the gunfire.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good line. All right. We then cut over to Cylon occupied Caprica. Where we find Starbuck and Hilo are walking through the streets. They make note of the fact that there are no decaying corpses because
Starbuck is asking the questions that Hilo spent months wandering around and just never thought to bring up, never thought to talk about. Yeah. See, Hilo, that's why she's better than you. I'm sorry, like this guy has a lot to The actor has a great presence. I want to like him, but right now, this character has a long way to go to make up for just how much of a dipstick he has come across to me up to this point.
Yeah, very much so. Hilo says that Sharon says that the Cylons have been throwing bodies in mass incinerators, which, gets Starbucks kind of hackles up because she's like, she's a Cylon. And then Hilo has this moment where he says, I was fooled. Are you happy now? I've been here for months with the Cylons, I guess, not one step ahead of them. And I fell in love with the machine, so call me an idiot and let's be done. And, Starbuck does call him, and she says, you're an idiot, but Cylons have a way of making us all look like idiots. So
yeah, which, fair.
Yeah, fair enough. I did like how the scene was shot, too, from behind, like, the grating and everything. It was a really cool-looking scene, just to call it out. Anyways, we then cut to Gaeta, Ty, and Kyle, basically talking about how to take down the Cylons. And we basically learn from Ty that he has seen their tactics before. They split into two teams. One is going to secondary damage control, and one is going to aux fire control, with the goal of, one, overriding the decompression system to vent them all into space, and then the other group will turn the ship's guns on the fleet and wipe them out. So
yeah. And given that the Cylons are machines who don't have to worry about the vacuum of space, that's a damn solid battle plan.
Yeah, it's very, very good. So, yep, that's the plan that they're doing. But then we cut to Cobalt, where we have Baltar has a vision, essentially, where he's holding the baby. Adama comes up to him and says, can I hold the baby? And looks at it and says, is this the shape of things to come? Baltar says, that's my understanding. Then Adama says, only one thing for it then, and he goes and drowns it in the river like Moses. So.
Yeah, So we're just into full-bore hallucinations now. Cool, great, awesome.
Yep. Apparently, another thing I learned from the podcast from Ronald D. Moore, apparently they, filmed a lot more of the baby killing. That they were like, well, we had to pull it back in the edit because we really went for it. Like, you could see little bubbles coming out of the water and everything.
Yeah, no, unnecessary, dude.
Yeah. I'm like, Jesus.
Point made.
Yeah, he literally said, it's like, I don't have a thing for infanticide. I know we killed the baby in the miniseries, but it's just what we did.
Yeah, you're not helping your case when you say you used to have a lot more footage of the baby dying.
We pulled it back, Anyways, Gaius wakes up and turns out he's in a graveyard of sorts, and Head 6 tells him that it was a place where human sacrifices were done. And Baltar sort of is surprised by this. He says, I thought Cobalt was supposed to be a paradise where gods lived with humans. And Head 6 says, well, you did, but then your true nature asserted itself, your barbarism. And so it's your scriptures are a lie. They're just a cover for your savagery. And again says, all this has happened before, all this will happen again. So mankind's true nature will always reassert itself. And Adama will try to kill our baby only if you let him.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what continues to be frustrating about Head 6 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like the show wants me to, and I don't mean like the show is presenting this as accurate, but I can really tell the show wants me to take basically everything she says at face value.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real disinclined to do that. But the problem is she's also speaking to the themes that are obviously core to the show. So like some of this has to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so obviously all this has happened before, all this will happen again. And your core human nature, this is stuff we've heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is recurrent stuff. This is thematic. But like she says the human sacrifice thing and I immediately tilt my head and go, bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what? You know that how? He believes you why? Like, but then it goes from the thing that I immediately want to pick apart immediately into something that I have to take as read because it fits into the theming and is being hammered too hard. And it frustrates my brain when stuff I want to call bullshit on is said in almost the same breath as stuff that I'm like, well, I know I'm meant to take this, because we kind of ran into this way back in the miniseries where the God stuff first got mentioned, and you were like, what do you think about that? And I kind of shrugged and went, I don't think much about it. I'm kind of assuming that's a thing she's just saying to blend in. And you were like, okay, well, you need to start thinking about that. And like, so that's that core issue of I don't know how much of anything she says to take seriously puts me at a bit of a distance, and that has been the case since the start.
That is interesting because, how do I phrase this? Because I know what she is, if she is anything, it works for me, but because you don't, it is interesting that the show is not playing for first-time viewers watching it. It weirdly works better, like having finished this, because it's not playing on that whole thing with is she in his head or is she not really, like in an overt way. It's kind of just saying like, oh, just take the stuff that she says as read because it's thematically interesting, as you said. But it's not playing off of like, well, is this just Baltar's interpretation of this, or is this the Cylons feeling their interpretation of what Kobol is, or something else? So like, that's kind of, it's not really playing off of that. Though knowing what she is, whether she is anything, it weirdly works for me, is all I will say.
I can believe that, because there's frequently stuff with Head 6 that I'm just kind of left throwing my hands up and go, I don't know what to do with that, because I need to try and parse it. I would need to keep like a long-running super state of every possibility of this bit she said is accurate, this bit is bullshit, this she shouldn't know if she's only in his head, but this makes way more sense if she is. Like, I either need to keep a super state of all of that shit, all of this Schrodinger's cat nonsense in my head at all times, lest the waveform collapse, or I throw my hands up and go, I don't fucking know, man, which is what I opt to do.
I think that's absolutely fair. It's interesting because all I will say is this is not a mystery that gets answered quickly.
I
keep holding on to this all the way to the final season, my friend.
Which is part of why I'm not racking my brain over trying to sort how much of her shit to take seriously, because I know if I commit to doing that, I'll be stuck doing it for a while.
Yeah, if this was something that got answered quickly, I'd say you should do it. No, this is like a latter half of the final season mystery answer. So
yeah, and so like just for point of comparison, because again, I still compare this to like Harvey from Farscape, who was my single favorite character on that show, and it's a show that I goddamn love. But like, what was nice about Harvey was you knew what he was basically almost from the start, but then you watched him change and become weirder. Because, like, he was initially just a straight-up copy of Scorpius inside Crichton's head. But then because he kept existing inside Crichton's head, he started picking up some of Crichton's own mannerisms. It just became this whole other weird thing, but you got to watch that happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like dealing with Head 6 feels like jumping in on, like, last season Harvey and not understanding why he's like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's just, I will say it doesn't get answered, but things will evolve. That's all I will say. So I'm curious to see if you'll appreciate it or not, though. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get there. That's still got some time on that. Anyways, we then cut back over to Lee's assault team, essentially is what I'm going to call it. They come across the bodies of the dead. They go into the small arms locker. Jammer is in there. Good old Jammer. And it turns out they only have 6 explosive rounds, which he gives to everybody, gives one to everybody, and Jammer's like freaking out because he's like, I don't know how to fight Centurions, you know? So.
Yep.
Because he's an engineer.
And, like, I know Jammer's established, and he's already been around and everything, but I couldn't help but have the thought. Like, they open this door to the small arms, and it's a bunch of dead bodies and this one dude who, like, immediately is like, oh no, I'm a small bean. Don't hurt me, cruel universe sand. Like, that's his whole thing. And my immediate thought is, they are just assuming that it was only Centurions on that boarding thing and not, you know, like a replacement for anybody who might be on the ship. Because, again, at this point, we don't yet know if these Cylons are based on existing templates or not. Or if they are just unique creations. We still don't know. And so, like, part of me is like, not a one of you is going to wonder, is this dude a Cylon? And we just walked in after he killed all the other people in this room, but we assume it's fine? Okay, sure.
I will not say anything. All I will say is that, and I should say this for listeners because some people were asking on my comments. Jammer does get some focus later on, and also gets his own. Just to let you know, there are spin-off movies that we watch that are like in the season, kind of like Babylon 5 had.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But also, there are Mobisode episodes that, like, took place between seasons.
Okay.
But I actually think are worth watching. There's two of them, and they amount to essentially an episode. So one of them is about Jammer between seasons 2 and 3. I will not spoil what the context of that is. And then there's another one that I think takes place in the middle of season, like the early part of season 4, I believe. About another character that I won't spoil, but they essentially add up to be about a 50-minute episode. They're just mobile. They like cut up like 5-minute mobile episodes that they release between seasons or whatever. So.
Oh yeah, that stuff.
Back when that was a thing. Back when that was going on. They're actually, I remember them being pretty good. So we are gonna watch them. But
back when you could get when you started getting videos on iPods.
Yeah, that was exactly it. So, yep, there was that. The Lost Mobisodes, which, like, the Lost Mobisodes are also weirdly good. So, yeah, there's some weirdly good Mobisodes that are difficult as hell to find. And I did find the Battlestar Galactica ones. They are available. They're actually on the DVD sets, so they are around. So,
cool.
Anyways, just to let listeners know, we will be watching those when we get there, as well as stuff like Razor and The Plan, those movies and all that jazz. And also there's Blood and Chrome, which is a prequel movie that came out well after the show that's about Adama during the Cylon War. Anyways, talk about that later. We are going to watch all that shit.
Does he have the terrible mustache through the whole thing? Please tell me he has the terrible mustache.
No, it's like him when it's like a whole different actor. It's like when he's a kid.
Oh, boo.
Because it was meant to be a pilot it was a pilot episode that they shot for like a spin-off show that was about the Cylon War following like young Adama as a Viper pilot during the first Cylon War. Didn't get picked up. They just released the movie. So.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping.
It's because they didn't have where James Olmo said a horrible mustache. That would have done it. 6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah, I
right
know.
there.
I know. Anyways, we then cut to Hilo and Starbuck go into Starbuck's old apartment. There is a bunch of painting on the walls. Very interesting paintings that I will just note exist now. And that's all I'll say for that.
Great. So I should have been paying attention to what those were. It's fine. I'll notice it more when I pull stills for the.
Yes. All I will say is just take a vague look at the paintings, and that's all I will say. But anyways, Starbuck puts on a CD or like some sort of tape player, whatever thing it was, and it starts playing piano music. Which is, it runs on battery power, as Hilo asks. And it turns out, as Hilo asks, it's her dad. So her dad was a piano player. Starbuck puts on her painter's jacket, which I kind of like. Is just a little beat. She like takes off of her Galactica jacket, puts on her painter's jacket, takes a cigar, and she talks about like, I never liked this place. The place is crap. The rent is awful. But after the attack, I never pined over any of my old crap. Never missed it. And that stupid view of the parking lot or anything like that. Everyone I know is fighting to get back what they've had. I'm fighting because I don't know how to do anything else.
Yep, wrote that line down.
Mm-hmm. It's a good line. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a solid line.
Yeah, it's a really, I like this scene quite a lot. It's a very good introspective scene for Starbuck. So, yeah.
Yep.
And I always kind of like sans cryptic bullshit. I do like the idea that she's like a painter, that she does have that, and she kind of enjoyed these chaotic painting stuff. So.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
See, I just had to try and stop my head from playing The Old Apartment by Bare Naked Ladies in my head. Broke into the old apartment.
Mm-hmm. Well, then we cut back to the Galactica. Roslyn and everyone. It's Roslyn, Billy. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else there. But anyways, they walk through the...
Roslyn, Billy, and guard
guy. But they do run into a hallway of death again. That I just wrote.
This episode's got a body count on it.
Yeah.
And like, it's always like badly bloodied corpses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty haunted housey. It's kind of the vibe.
Yeah, actually, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. What I will say is we were talking about like how it feels kind of weightless in terms of the action in this episode. I do like how it's visually done, just as like a tone, because it is creepy. They like keep coming across like lots of dead bodies. You hear gunshots in the distance that kind of have a creepy vibe to it. The vibe. I like the vibes. It's a fun vibe. So, anyways, Dee is there. She clearly has some form of concussion. I do like, Billy's trying to reach her, and Roslyn says, use her rank, which Billy does, which kind of snaps her back to herself a little bit. So I like that little bit of there. But yes, Roslyn also goes over to the guard guy, and he's kind of having his own freak out moment a little bit too. And not like a serious one, but a little like kind of like, I don't know what to do. And she kind of sets him straight. It's like, we want to go away from the Cylons, clear your head. And he does. He said, all right, we'll go to the starboard side. It's a lot further.
Yep.
So, which again, I just like, I like Roslyn keeping a cool head during all of this. So
she's good for that, by and large.
Well, it's the first time we've like seen her do this in the midst of a really serious kind of military situation, like where she's like, I mean, I guess the miniseries kind of counts, but this is like much more direct threat to her life.
Yes.
Which I kind of like seeing her sort of still having that control during. So. We then cut to back to CIC. They learn that they managed to stop the Cylons. Another managed to stop the Cylons that were heading to the Ox fire control, which means they won't be able to fire at the fleet. But there's still a group of Cylons heading to decompress I forget the name of the room, but the decompression room. And there's nothing, at least that they think right now, between the Cylons and where they need to go. So.
Yep. And Ty says, if you know any prayers, now's the time.
Yeah. They said that they're on deck 69, which I found to be nice.
Nice.
Down on Cobalt, we have Chief and Callie taking a 5. The Chief, and I also just wanted to note here, I started watching the Final Destination movies, mostly just for Tony Todd. I have never seen them before. Very 90s. But the Chief, the actor who plays the Chief, was in Final Destination 2. I was like, oh, hey, look, it's the Chief. So, It was
Oh,
fun
all
a
right.
little bit.
I only ever saw the first of those. Like my whole generation is traumatized by the second one.
Yeah. I could see why.
Yeah, like there's an entire generation of millennials who will never drive behind a logging truck because of the second Final Destination. I live in Vermont. You don't really have a choice. There's going to be logging trucks intermittently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only ever saw the first one, and then it was like I treated it the way I treated most slashers. Like
I got it.
I'm not into the kills like just as a thing. I'm not enough of a gore hound to just keep coming back for this.
Yeah, I'm. It's not my thing. I enjoyed the first two. I've only seen those two. I'm probably gonna get through the rest of them just because I heard the new one's pretty interesting. But I'm mainly doing it for Tony Todd at this point because he's great in them. But yeah, I didn't dislike them. They're not bad, but I was never like the look at how cool these deaths are kind of person. It just never was. My thing. Nothing against it. If that's your jam, go for it. That's cool, but it wasn't my thing. So, anyways. The chief is still clearly torn up over Tarn getting shot multiple times. And Callie kind of yells at him and brings him back to his sentences, calling him a mother fracker. They laugh. He weirdly kisses her head, which was creepy to me. It's affection. I get it's like meant to be like platonically affectionate, but like it was a little weird. Anyways, they sort of say like, well, Socianus, the guy who's dying, who they got the med kit for, better appreciate this, and they sort of like joke like, oh, he's probably like an emperor, he's an idiot, but Chief says he'll be fine. He's a tough kid. So, we then cut to Baltar and Crashdown. Baltar comes back and Crashdown sort of like clamps down on him and says like, hey, you can't go off like that. This is a military command. I want to hear yes, sir. And Crashdown says, I'm getting a bad feeling.
And, like, also, can we point out, this is now, like, the second or third time that Baltar has just wandered off.
Yeah.
And, like, I get that he's, like, getting, like, mentally zonked out and hallucinating. So, like, I'm not necessarily frustrated with him wandering off, but it's like, is nobody paying attention? Like, I understand this guy's getting medical attention. She's helping him. Like, there's others of you around. Is nobody keeping tabs on this guy? Put a fucking bell on him.
Yeah, evidently. Anyways, Crashdown pulls a Star Wars and said, I'm getting a really bad feeling about this place. But then the Chief and Callie come back with the med kit. Crashdown learns about Tarn getting killed. But then the medic tells everyone that Socianus isn't going to make it. Chief kind of has a meltdown about this and starts yelling at her about it. And she says, I can't.
Which, like, I called that. I'm like, this
yeah, no way. Yeah.
It feels like the show really wants to twist the knife on this. Like, it's not, they're going to lose him anyway.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's just to give some pathos to everybody, especially the Chief. But yeah, the medic says, I can't change that he's going to die. We can spare him a painful death by using the drugs that they got from the other med kit, essentially, like combining it with what they have.
Yeah, so like I forget what they call it, but it's basically give him a morphine overdose, which can I be an asshole? I understand you want to spare him pain. You have a very limited amount of medicine of any kind.
Yeah, that was my
You're going to burn the painkiller from both kits to kill him kindly. Again, I'm not saying that like that's wrong for them to do. I kind of feel like
someone should have
at least one person should have gone like,
maybe we'll need it, and someone being like, no, this is the human.
I mean, honestly, I think it would have fit Crashdown for the state that he's in to be like, what do we actually want to do that? And then everyone could just tell him to shut up. But it's one of those things where like, be nice if somebody said it.
Yeah. Well, no one does. And so they do inject him with it. Chief's the one to do it, and basically like kind of it's trauma. So.
Well, and he also does the classic line to him
like oh, we're about to get rescued.
Raptors are on their way. We're going home.
Yeah. We're going to a farm upstate, buddy.
Yeah. It's I don't remember if these made the news. It happened twice during like the last few months of Trump's first presidency, there were like people who were in hospice that their families told them that Trump had been successfully impeached so that their family members would go more peacefully.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ. That's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that for me. Please. Anyways.
Bitch, you better not go before him. I will kick your ass.
I hope not either. Anyways, they get to the arms locker, Apollo's team does, and manages to call up to CIC, which Ty then realizes that Apollo is between the Cylons and the decompression room. We then cut to Rosalind, so this is happening simultaneously. They're in a bathroom, and they're about 20 meters through a hatch to sickbay, but they can't get through it. And also Dee talks to Billy, and, you know, she says, my head's underwater, but then she reminds him, she's like, if you're going to put your gun in your trousers like that, you might want to put on the safety, which I found kind of funny.
Yeah, because Billy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing, but I think she wants to protect someone else down there for her own, her own sake, was my immediate thought.
This is motivated thinking like, no, I want that. Don't shoot it off, please.
Yeah, please. Doing this for me, all right? Not for you. Anyways.
At least let me get a mold of it first.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Anyways, the guard basically tells them, like, well, we need to head to aft damage control to get to sickbay. At the same moment that Ty tells Apollo they need to head to aft damage control because that's where the Cylons are heading. So,
of course.
Everyone's heading to aft damage control. All right. We then arrive at aft damage control. Jammer's kind of freaking out a little bit, and Apollo and everyone is sort of setting up shop to take on the Cylons there. And Lee says sometimes you got to roll the hard 6, which, he's saying this is the thing my dad says. This is a phrase I like that. I like that as a phrase. I think we talked about that before. It's a good phrase.
We did, yeah.
And
then my notes just say, big manly gunfight.
Yes, we get a big manly gunfight. The Cylons rush in, but then Rosalind and Billy kind of make a noise, or Billy accidentally shoots while taking out the safety.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yes, the Cylons turn around.
And no, don't worry, folks. He did not shoot his dick off.
No.
Because there's like a little scene where he draws the gun and he's like, okay, you can take the safety off now.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, the Cylons turn around from Lee's group, not knowing that they start shooting at Rosalind and Billy, at which point, Lee starts shooting at them. There's a big firefight. There's a cool shot where a Cylon sort of like dive bombs at Lee, and he manages to shoot it right at the last moment so it goes over his head and kills it.
Yep.
And yeah, everyone except for the red shirts turn out to be okay. Because yeah, Jammer sort of has the celebratory moments. Like, they don't look so big now. And then Lee sort of says, well, they were big enough as we pan down to the bodies of the Marines. But everyone who gives a shit, we give a shit about survived. And
everyone with a name.
Yes. And then yes.
It's like that bit in Galaxy Quest. Guy, you have a last name. Do I?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it turns out Rosalind just barely missed getting a bullet herself because they look at her clothing and there's like a bullet hole in her clothing. To which the guard says, like, "Oh, the gods must have been watching over you." So. Oh,
it's a miracle. Yeah, I wonder where that's gonna go.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, back on Caprica, Starbuck and Hilo head out in a truck with Starbuck's keys, which I'm shocked they never did before, like hotwire a car or whatever. But
I mean, do you know how to actually do that?
No.
Why do you assume they do?
Because they're in the military, one would assume. Or at least I would have tried.
You think hot wiring cars is standard military practice for people on a ship who aren't, like, Marines trained for how to survive in ground assault situations?
I feel like I would have at least tried. All I'm saying is I would have at least tried to get a car instead of walking forever.
I'm sure it happened off screen during all the conversations they clearly never fucking had. I'm not letting that one go.
But yes, they do head out. We then cut to Dee in sickbay. This is the other scene I was saying that they added after the fact, which is Dee is in sickbay, healing up. And she sort of said, "Forget what I said. Now listen closely." And then they kiss, and it's cute. You know, he said, "I couldn't hear that. Can you say it one more time?" And they kiss again. It was.
That was the cute bit. Like the first kiss, I'm like, oh, whatever. Then like he says that, I'm like, okay, that's cute.
Yeah, that was adorable. Anyways, we then cut to Doc Cottle is apparently. We cut to Ty and Lee hanging out over Adama's body. Doc Cottle's again on his way. Poor Doc Cottle has probably been back and forth so many fucking times, being like, oh, I guess I can't get on there, get on the Galactica now. We gotta get back. Oh, is it time? Nope. Okay. Anyways,
you know who I feel bad for? Mm-hmm. Whoever his driver is.
Yeah, I was like
supposed to be shuttling him back and forth.
All right, we'll go back, man. I'm paying me by the hour, all right?
I'm leaving the meter running. That's all I'm telling you.
Anyways, yes. Ty and Lee's talk over Adama's body. You know, he says he's gonna make it. You know, he's gonna make it all right. Lee says, "I bet there's still a cell waiting for me." And Ty says, "You bet your ass there is. I can't believe you sided that with that woman. I wouldn't have done that with you. Put a gun to my head, which you did. And you're not fit to wear that uniform," which Lee agrees. He says, "You're right. I am not fit to wear this uniform. Maybe I never was. But then again, neither are you. It's his ship," pointing at Adama, and says when he wakes up, he'll decide what to do with both of us. And we end on a line, "Thank the gods I didn't have kids," from Ty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So Ty and Lee don't like each other. I do have
what a shock.
I do have a couple little spoiler manity things. However, before we start that, someone in the comments of last week's episode had a good suggestion, which was you make it difficult because I've had so much to add into the spoiler minute sections. They have suggested that I should be given like a set number of times that I can go longer than a minute. Like 2 or 3 or 4 or like whatever number we agree upon, and I can choose to use them when I wish.
How many episodes is this thing?
There's 20 for the next 2 seasons, so we got 60 more episodes or so, plus a bunch of random assortment of movies and such.
You can have 5.
Okay. For what? For how long?
Extra 30.
Okay. Minute and a half for 5 episodes. I can live with that. That'll be perfect. Cool. All right, I will keep that in mind. For today, just need 60 seconds. But
okay.
Right, perfect. All right, so for the next 60 seconds, if you do not wish to have any spoilers, jump ahead 60 seconds just like Vera is going to do in real time by giving me 60 seconds on the clock and taking off her headphones.
And go.
All right, first thing I want to mention, when Ty at the end of the episode says, "Thank God, the gods I didn't have kids," I just wrote in my notes, oh, the irony of that fucking line. If you know, you know, technically all the Cylons are his kids, very technically. So I just thought that was funny. Also, it clearly wasn't intended. Clearly they sort of backfilled this later on. But I did like that the painting of the eye, where Starbuck does eventually die, is here in her apartment. It's on the wall, which is what I was sort of alluding to. When they come down into Starbuck's apartment, you can see that painting that's on the wall is the painting of the storm, the Maelstrom storm or whatever it's called, where Starbuck dies in season 3 and then becomes an angel or whatever the hell she becomes after that point. But yes, that painting is there. It is worth noting because it will come back around as a Chekhov's gun sort of thing. Also the music as well, like the piano playing is also a thing that like gives her the coordinates of Earth or whatever. If I recall in like season 3 or 4, whenever that happens. So that gets set up here as well with her dad's music. So, all right, that's everything. I actually, almost had it. It was 1 nanosecond off on the timer.
Damn it.
Yeah, I will say I did actually get through everything this time. That was good. There was a few things to touch upon here, but I got through it all.
All right.
All right. What did you think of the episode?
It's filler.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's solid filler. It's action beat filler. It moves a few plots actually forward and fills the rest with shooty bang bangs.
I mean, I like the shooty bang bangs. It was decent enough shooty bang bangs.
It was perfectly serviceable shooty bang bangs.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed like the D Billy stuff. I actually like. I know you don't like courting as much as I mean, I don't love courting. Usually, it's done very badly. I am less angry about it. I didn't mind the Billy D stuff. I thought it was kind of cute. I liked Rosalind being in charge of stuff. Lee didn't really have much of an arc, really, other than like he did a thing and Ty didn't recognize that he's still a competent soldier or whatever. But that it's not really all that drawn out. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much the stuff on Cobalt is fine. Stuff on Caprica is I will say I do like the Caprica stuff with Starbuck and Hilo. That was I did enjoy that.
It's better than the Hilo and Sharon stuff.
Yeah, and Sharon didn't come back, as you said that she was going to come back.
I assume she would. She didn't. I am surprised. Makes me wonder where the fuck she thinks she's going, because no way in hell is this movie dropping the baby thing.
Oh yeah, no, that's never coming back up. No. That's it's very unimportant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I agree. It's basically filler. There's some good beats. I don't hate it, but yeah, it's good. It's fine. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Random semi-related thing, I guess. So I'm going to Rose City Comic Con this year, as I try and do most years, and apparently, Edward James Olmos.
Oh.
And Katie Sackhoff and Mary McDonnell are all going to be there.
Oh, that's fun. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always why am I blanking the actor who plays Ty? He's in a wheelchair now. I'm blanking on his name. God, that's going to bother me. He's a really cool guy. Ty actor. Michael Hogan. Really like him too. He's been coming to a couple cons lately, even though he's in a wheelchair. I think he had a stroke or something like that recently, but he's been coming to some cons. But I always enjoyed him because he's in he's not only in this show, but he's in Teen Wolf, the show. which not a good show. Teen Wolf is not a good show, but it was like my trash show in college of like, I just need someone to put on the background just to enjoy.
You're allowed to have trash. Like Gotham was my trash. You can have your trash.
Yeah, no, Teen Wolf was my college time crash. Like I watched it in college and enjoyed it. But my favorite, he's in that show. He plays a vampire hunter who just gets a giant fucking broadsword for no reason in one scene, and I'm just like, he just starts cutting wolves in half for no reason. Keep in mind this like modern day, so he's just like a dude who just pulls out a broadsword at one point. It was great. He's fantastic. I love him. But yeah, that sounds like fun. It sounds like a good time at Rose City Comic Con.
Yeah,
I will say that was Edward James Olmos was one of the first people that I saw at a famous people I saw at a con, because my first ever Comic Con I went to was San Diego Comic Con, way back in the day. And when I was in line to see the Battlestar Galactica panel for it, and he walked by and high-fived my hand. So he was the first ever famous person at a con who I got to high-five or touch, I guess, in some way, shape, or form.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. So, very fun. He was very nice.
My first was Tim Curry.
Ah, well, Tim Curry, I feel, is a lot of people's first.
Like I actually explicitly went to I forget what they call it now. It's like Boston Fan Expo or something. But I went there because it was a day trip. I went there explicitly just to meet him.
Oh.
And then drove back.
I mean, fair. Absolutely fair. Well worth it. So. All right. Well, anything else, Vera?
Don't think so.
All right. Stuff time.
Stuff! You want to find my stuff, you can look for Council of Geeks. Patreon is what pays the bills and ensures that I'm able to afford to do things like, pay for the podcast feed that this is on. Council of Geeks on YouTube is my main channel. By the time you hear this, I should be back down to only Saturday videos after having been doing 2 videos a week while Doctor Who was airing. We're back down to 1 a week, which I need. I really need. But I talk about whatever geek related media stuff and or other stuff that I feel is important to talk about.
Stuff that I feel is important
is on my mind at the time. You can also find Council of Geeks on Blue Sky. I don't do a ton there, but I do post occasionally. There's also the Break Room of Geeks, which is much less structured, much more loose, and is just my off-the-cuff thoughts on whatever I have watched, listened to, read, or played lately. That is the geeky stuff. There is, of course, also the spicy stuff.
Spicy stuff.
And for that, you can look for Vera Wild. Wild is spelled W-Y-L-D-E, and you will find
escalatingly spicy content. I'm tired, can you tell? You'll have to take care of me later.
Mm-hmm.
But you can find things on YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, OnlyFans, many vids, and clips for sale.
Keeping you on your toes, doing something different every time. You can find me at Jesse Gender on YouTube, where I do my video essay style stuff. More than likely, my Star Wars Andor retrospective video will have just recently come out. I also have a Sex and Star Trek video coming out in the nearest future, depending on if I finish it before I have to go to New York to film Subliminal. So that'll either be coming early July, or it'll be coming later July, depending. But then I am on Nebula, which is the streaming service that houses not only Subliminal, the show that'll be coming out later this year that I am directing an episode of in just a few weeks, but also my movie Identities, which is a science fiction film starring John Delancey and Abigail Thorne, among many others. And I'm also on Blue Sky, which is the one social media platform that I mainly use. Instagram, I guess, too, if you want to check me out there. And I have a Patreon that helps me pay my bills. You can follow me on that. Anything else, Vera?
Nah.
All right, with all that said, I hope you all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.